In this review video, I'll be setting up 2 different Pacific Breeze beach tents on a windy day at the beach. And when I say a windy day at the beach, I'm talking 20-mile-per-hour winds. Which beach shelter will prevail? And which one will cave under pressure? Well, we're gonna find out together in this Beach Gear Guy review video. Now, I've been using beach gear ever since I could run around the beach. And decades later, here I am, setting up and reviewing all kinds of beach gear. So if you love the beach as much as me, and you're always on the lookout for cool gear to bring to the beach, please consider subscribing to my Beach Gear Guy channel. I would love to have you along for the ride. Now, last summer, I reviewed the Pacific Breeze Easy Setup Beach Tent Deluxe XL, and honestly, I loved the thing. I loved how easy it was to set up, I loved how roomy it was, and I loved how well it held up in 15-mile-per-hour winds. It's a tough, dependable beach tent, and yeah, I had lots of love for it. So this summer, it made perfect sense for me to check out the Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter. So I went online and picked one up for $100. Now I'm gonna set up and review the Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter first. So if you wanna zip past the review and jump right to the windy day setup, I'll have timestamps down below in the description so you can skip around. Now the directions, which are attached right here to the carry bag, recommend having 2 people set up this beach shelter, which actually makes a lot of sense. This beach shelter has 4 identical fiberglass legs, and each leg has 2 joints. Each one of the bottom joints needs to be locked into place before it's raised up. Once the shelter is laid flat on the beach, one person should hold up the hub, and another person should extend and lock the 4 legs. Keeping the hub upright certainly makes locking the legs a lot easier. So when I'm flying solo, I need to lock the bottom joints as well as try to keep the hub upright, which is like dealing with a short tipsy friend who's had one too many. Okay, the 4 bottom joints are locked and it's time to raise it up. Now the Pacific Breeze Easy Setup Beach Tent opens up by pulling the 2 cords from the top of the hub, which is usually how these types of beach tents open. The Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter, however, opens up by pulling the 2 cords from the bottom of the hub. To raise it up, I have to reach in with one hand and grab onto the bottom of the hub, and then take the other hand and pull down on the 2 drawstrings until the hub clicks together. Look at that. The hub is locked into place, and we got ourselves a beach tent. Honestly, it was a bit awkward for me at first, but after setting up this beach shelter a few different times, I actually got the hang of it. Now to anchor down this beach tent, the Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter has 8 sandbags, 2 attached to every corner, which I think is fantastic. Filling them up is easy, but removing the sand can be a bit time consuming because the sand has to be dumped onto the tent's floor and then brushed away. Last spring I made a video about a beach tent that had a similar anchor bag setup, and a subscriber suggested I fill up gallon-sized freezer bags with sand and put them in the anchor pouches. I tried it with this beach shelter and it worked great. The gallon-sized freezer bags fit in the pouches perfectly, and there was a lot less cleanup. Thank you, subscriber. The Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter is made of a breathable polyester material that repels water, although I don't think I would use it on a rainy day, and provides that much-needed UPF 50+ sun protection. For additional sun protection, this beach shelter comes with 2 extra sunshades, which can be attached to any of the 4 sides. So when it's later in the afternoon and the sun starts to shine in from the side, all I have to do is connect one of the sunshades to the side of the shelter by looping the toggles. Sure, there are some gaps, but hey, it still provides a lot of nice shade. Now, if you want the sun protection and you also want to feel the sand between your toes, the floor, which is made of this rugged tarp-like polyester, can be unzipped on both sides and rolled up. How cool is that? This is a great family-friendly feature because the kids can actually make a sandcastle in the shade. As far as size goes, this beach shelter is nice and roomy. When I measured it myself, I got 92 inches by 92 inches and 59 inches high. I would say that it's big enough to accommodate 3 adults comfortably, and it's definitely big enough for 2 adults and a couple of kids. I also want to point out the 2 mesh pockets, which are good for smaller objects such as cell phones, tubes of sunblock, and granola bars. Now, I used this beach shelter quite a few times over the course of 3 weeks, and it never gave me any problems until I was shooting a beach chair review video, of all things, and then this happened. Despite having set up the provided guy lines with the yellow stakes, the beach shelter caved in on itself. I managed to prop it back up easily enough, but I really wanted to give it a solid wind test, and I also wanted to compare it to another beach tent. So I brought both the Pacific Breeze Easy Setup Beach Tent and the Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter to the beach when the winds were blowing around 20 miles per hour. After filling up my gallon-sized freezer bags with sand and lining them up in a row next to my orange anchor screws, I am ready to rock and roll. Well, sort of. It's become quite the fiasco right out of the gate. Yeah, it's taken me a while here just to extend and lock the 4 legs. Yeah, setting up a sun shelter in 20-mile-per-hour winds sure isn't pretty, and it's definitely not safe. I'm doing this to show you how this beach shelter would fare if a calm day at the beach suddenly turned into a windy day at the beach. But it is dangerous, so please don't do this. Now we have what looks like a beached manta ray that's a bit ticked off. I decided that the only way to extend and lock the 4 legs under these windy conditions is to weigh down the corners with the sandbags. Well, it turned out to be a pretty good idea because now I'm finally making some progress. All right, the legs are locked and now I can finally raise up the hub. Cool, the hub is now locked into place and we got ourselves a beach. Whoop. It looks like I still have some more work to do. This beach shelter does come with yellow stakes, but I brought these orange anchor screws because I know they work really well and I'm obviously going to need all the help I can get. Well, the orange anchor screws didn't budge, but everything else did. The top joints right here, the joints that we don't lock, they just can't handle the pressure. I tried a few more ideas, but the Pacific Breeze Sand and Surf Beach Shelter just couldn't hold up against the wind. Now it's time to see how this Pacific Breeze Beach Tent holds up on a windy day. Now this beach tent requires that I just lock 2 joints, the 2 joints in the front, which is quite the break under these circumstances. You know, now that I think of it, maybe I shouldn't use the word break right now. Now that the 2 legs are locked together, I just have to pull the 2 cords up and away from each other until the hub connects. There. Oof, that was a workout. All I need now is a kiteboard, and then I can join this dude. Yellow ground stakes were also provided with this beach tent, but again, I'm using the orange screws because I trust them. Now I'm anchoring down the beach tent so the side will be directed towards the wind, which is turning out to be a bad idea. This beach tent is just not having it. Now I'm redirecting it so the back of the tent will be facing the wind. During this process, the beach tent suddenly turns into a wounded space creature. I don't want to do it. I want to go back in my bag. I don't want to do it. Yeah, you're gonna do it. To keep this beach shelter from blowing into the ocean, I'm using everything I've got to keep it anchored down. I'm even using a few guy lines that I grabbed off another beach tent. It's totally all hands on deck. We are not messing around here, folks. And look at that. It looks like we've tamed the beast, and we got ourselves a beach tent and a winner. Way to go, Pacific Breeze Easy Setup Beach Tent Deluxe XL. You are our windy day champion. A few days later, when it was a lot calmer, I got my dad out of the ocean so he could help me check the beach shelter for any damage. Now I'm happy to report that after close inspection, no beach shelters or beach tents were harmed during the filming of this production. My dad and I inspected it from top to bottom, looking for any damage, and it looks like this sun shelter survived the experience unscathed. After our inspection, I spent the rest of the day hanging out inside this beach shelter because I still think it's really cool for a calm day at the beach. Now, taking down this beach tent isn't that difficult, but there are a few things you want to keep in mind. After removing the sandbags, I want to lower down the hub, but I don't want it to come crashing down on me. So I want to pull down on the lower hub handle until the hub disconnects, and I want to hold on to the drawstring to prevent it from coming down too fast. Once the hub is down, all I have to do is unlock the 4 joints, fold in the poles, roll up the floor, and then tie it and bag it. The carrying bag is about 39 inches long and weighs just over 11 pounds, so it's nice and portable. Hey, I just want to thank you so much for watching my review video, and I hope you take it easy at the beach.